You're listening to WUML Lowell 91.5. This is Poptarts in my VCR. I am DJ Kitty.
I'm DJ Sunny.
I'm DJ Rob.
And today we are joined by Irontom.
Hello.
Do you want to just introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Harry Hayes from Irontom. I'm the singer and play a little bass sometimes, but, mainly the vocals.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us this week. We really appreciate having you.
Of course. Thank you for inviting me.
So, before we kind of dive into the interview, we have a tradition on this show where every week we go around and we say one happy thing that has happened to us this week. There's a lot of negativity in the news and on the radio.
Yeah.
So we're going to put you on the spot. What is one happy moment that you have had in the past week?
Let's see. Many happy things have happened, but this just came to mind. I was at this funny little bakery that I go to sometimes, and I went at the end of the day and I was like, can I get a scone? And they're like, we're out. I'm like, all right, well, oh well. But then they were like, we got these other scones that we haven't sold yet. We just made them. We'll give you one. And so they hooked me up with 2 for free. So, there you go. Yeah.
We love free food. That's a great moment.
I know. It was
Sweet.
kind of funny. But that's a nice, I'm glad you guys are doing that. We all got to remember the happy moments,
We think so too.
Yeah.
And I'm so sorry, I forgot to introduce our fantastic interns for your happy moments. So Riley was actually the one who scheduled this interview. So thank you so much, Riley. And would you like to give us your happy moment of the week?
Thank you, Riley.
My happy moment of the week, besides scheduling the interview, is I got a new jersey for one of my favorite hockey teams.
Nice.
All right.
And our other intern, Sabina, what was your happy moment from the week?
I'd probably say I got to build a Lego set with my girlfriend.
Nice.
Held priority.
Yeah.
Max?
Today was my last in-person class for one of my classes, and I'm pretty psyched about that.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Julie?
My happy moment of the week is my partner was having a bit of a rough week last week, just feeling pretty down. So I surprised her on Friday night. We picked up some steak and cooked that together because that's one of her favorite meals.
Oh, that's so sweet. That's awesome. I guess mine from this week is right now. I've been really looking forward to this, and I'm super excited.
Great.
So let's dive in. Max, do you want to start off with a question?
Sure. Who is there like a definitive moment in your life when you decided you wanted to do what you do now?
Yeah, I think there were a couple moments. For sure, hearing the Beatles as a kid, I wanted to be in music, but I didn't know it fully then. But I can basically pinpoint wanting to be in a band down to this time when I saw the Arctic Monkeys. You guys know that band?
Yeah, I've seen them twice.
Yeah, they're great. I saw them when I was 17 at the Hollywood Palladium, and it was so cool that I was like, I had been into music and wanted to start a band, but after I saw that, I was like, all right, I have to do it. Like this kind of shows me it's possible, So that would be the moment if I could break it down.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So talking about your band, you have a new album, Cult Following, that came out in September. Could you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, we're really proud and happy about this album and how the response has been so far. It's just been so great to see the people who already follow us into it, and then also all these new people coming to check us out and join our family. But we're really proud of it because we basically made it ourselves. Like we found this studio up in Northern California in Sebastopol, which I don't know if anyone's familiar with that, but it's about an hour north of San Francisco. And we found this like shack that we turned into a studio, and we started recording probably about the beginning of last year. And we just started experimenting, and eventually songs started to come around and come together, and we didn't know if what we were doing there could be an album and we could release it and it would hold up against the music we've recorded in studios that are like, you know, worth millions of dollars, you know. And so we worked on it, and then we got the songs about 75-80% there, and then we went to a couple of friends who are producers. One of them's called John Fields, and one of them's name is Isaac Carpenter, and they helped us finish the songs. And then, you know, there was a little bit to do with those guys, and then once they had their input and helped, it was all good, you know. And so after putting it out just about 6 weeks ago, or maybe a little more now, we've just been blown away that it works, you know. So now we're really confident in the things we're making. You know, we're making new songs, and we're doing our stuff, and we know so much more than we did when we started that, you know. Like, we have a song called Big Shot, and if you saw how just you know, basic our setup was when we started that song, you know, you'd probably be impressed at how good it sounds, you know.
We are pretty impressed by Big Shot. We've played that one on the show a few times. I kind of a follow-up question. Do you have a favorite song from that album? Anyone that was really, really fun to record, or?
It changes, you know. It changes. Like, I guess right now I would probably say my favorite is The Verdict and Crave. But it's grown on me. It's funny. And like No Guilt I really like too. That's we almost left that off the album, and we just decided last second to put it on, and I'm glad we did, because, you know, sometimes when you make something, you kind of, your relationship to it might kind of fog the quality of what it actually is, you know. Sometimes you think something is better than it actually is, and then sometimes you think something's bad and everybody else thinks it's good, you know. So it's a funny thing.
Yeah. What is your favorite place you've performed? I know it's a tough one.
Yeah, it's tough. Like, I love going to Chicago. Anytime we go to Chicago, Kansas City's up there too, Boston, and there's a lot of great places. I mean, it's funny. Like, we started touring about 5 years ago. We became a touring band, and it was such it blew us away how fun it was to go play outside of California, you know, because we had played in LA a lot. In LA, I love LA, but people are kind of like, you know, they don't really get into it there. They're like trying to look cool a lot of the time, and everywhere else people are just ready to rock, you know. So but there's a lot of great places.
Yeah, we definitely don't care about looking cool here, so that's that applies.
That's good.
Yeah, Chicago is also one of my favorites to perform in.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So you've put out a couple of music videos from Cult Following. So just a little bit. I'll go off of American Gothic, because that's I think is that the most recent one?
Yeah.
Yeah, so tell us a bit about how it was to film that.
Well, that one's wild. I mean, Amalia Irons directed that one, and she is Zach Irons, our guitar player's brother, or sister, sister. And she basically had this crazy concept. I mean, it was just like really kind of I guess it's not that crazy, but it was kind of radical. Like, I'm a dog, and then like the other guys, they were, you know, these certain characters, and we had a lot of fun making it. It was like, our label rented us this big old house in the Hollywood Hills, and we kind of made it in about a day and a night, you know. And I don't know, I love it because every time I watch it, I get something else out of it, you know.
Yeah,
But
Definitely
I
looked fun.
personally felt like, well, all right, I'm the dog, and I just went for it, and it was kind of cool to like a lot of bands are like trying to look super cool in their heads, and I was like, I'm gonna be the dog. I'm down. you know.
Awesome.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Let me see. How did you find all the band members? Like, how did you guys get together initially?
Well, Zach's dad is a professional musician, and Zach and I went to the same high school together. And when I was 17, he was 14.
Okay.
And so we ended up doing some talent show where we were in different acts, but I performed in my band, and then he had a band, and his dad saw me play and said to Zach, like, you should jam with Harry, because he was pretty good. And we actually lived like very close to each other too at the time. And so Zach's dad, actually ended up calling me and being like, come over and jam with me and my son. And so I came over and we started jamming, and then we hit it off. And then, fast forward to a few years later, I was in college at UC Santa Cruz for a time, and Zach and I were still working, but we were trying to form a band, and he found some other guys, which included Dan, our keyboard player, and Dan is brilliant, and they really bonded. And so I just dropped out of school. I was like, I'm done with this. I'm gonna rock, and then we needed a drummer, and Dill, our drummer, is Zach. He kind of heard what we were getting up to and was like, okay, I'm going to learn the drums. And it took him about a year, but he learned the drums, and now we're here.
Right
Oh,
on.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So if you were touring right now, what is your favorite song to play live? I know that some of these came out, some of these were singles before the album came out. If you played any of them live or anything like that.
We just did a little live stream performance, like a streaming concert, and we played a lot of the new album songs. They were so fun. So like basically all of those, like anything from the new album. We were doing Call Me the West, Big Shot, and Crave Your Sex on our very last tour. Our last tour ended when the lockdown started. We were in Chicago in March, and they just, that night was like, this is the last show, then everything's getting locked down. So I'd say if I had to pick two, I'd say Big Shot and No Guilt, which is pretty cool.
Very cool.
Sweet. What are you yourself and or the band's plans for the future?
We're just making more music. We're making and we're working on another video, and we're just basically, we got a lot of things in the works. I don't really want to specify too much, but it's exciting stuff. And it's like, I see this time as an opportunity in a lot of ways. Like it's been sad not being able to connect with people through concerts, but I'm kind of taking this time as an opportunity to be like, to try and grow and like basically develop even more, and like do basically elevate our band in new and different ways. So like when touring starts again, we're doing better than ever. You know what I mean? Because seems like this could be, it sucks that the lockdown has affected things in so many ways, but there are, through the internet and through so many things we have now, we can keep things going and kind of like innovate and progress. So it's kind of, my goal is just to be like, once concerts come back, we're more than ready. We're on a roll and we're ready to hit it, and considering not playing shows, this has been a pretty cool year for us as a band with this album.
So you mentioned that you did a live stream recently. Do you have like any future live streams planned? Anything else like to promote this album?
It was fun. We'll probably do it again. We're like I said, we're making a video, and then we'll probably, there's other cool stuff we're lining up. Yeah, it's like we're kind of always at it and always on to the next thing, you know. And so yeah, there's more coming for sure.
Awesome.
All right, why don't we go ahead and take a short musical break and listen to some of your recent songs? You want to go ahead and introduce those to us?
Of course. This is Harry Hayes from Irontom, and you're about to hear Big Shot, American Gothic, The Verdict, and Stimulated.
Fingerprints all over me, 'cause if they find me dead, they should know who it be. Who kicked me off the boat, who threw me in the mud, to the gator so I never see nobody later. I love the danger, don't be a stranger. You want my body, well now you got me. I'm the big shot in your life now, I'm the one who makes sense. I'm the big shot in your life now, I'm the one who makes sense. And you said you never knew me, but I think you do. You always did, kid, you know it's true. I'm the big shot in your life now, I'm the one who makes sense. I pretend sugar cute to my root beer throat, refuse to be serious 'cause life is a joke. I don't know a lot, but I know what you got. Don't be maybe, baby, come on, I'm a big shot. I wanted danger, you was a stranger. You want my body, and now you got me. I'm the big shot in your life now, I'm the one who makes sense. I'm the big shot in your life now, script, then I changed my lines. Born down here in American Gothic, spoon-fed, I didn't know how to stop it. Can't reach the top if there's nothing there. Can I learn more? Gotta do more. Can I be me without compromise? Born down here in American Gothic, spoon-fed, I didn't know how to stop it. Let loose high and I felt like a comet. American Gothic. American Gothic. Wrote some of my old words up on the sideboard wall. Now all they do is just follow me. Born down here in American Gothic, spoon-fed, I didn't know how to stop it. As I become my distractions now. Can I learn more? Gotta do more. Can I be me without compromise? Born down here in American Gothic, spoon-fed, I didn't know how to stop it. Let loose high and I felt like a comet. American Gothic. Can I learn more? Gotta do more. Can I be me without compromise? All my dreams making me scream. Gonna be me without compromise. Born down here in American Gothic, spoon-fed, I didn't know how to stop it. Let loose high and I felt like a comet. American Gothic. American Gothic. American Gothic. Listen, kid, it's your mind speaking to you now. You just got out of a situation. Remember all the pain and the complication. Listen, kid, it's your heart. You know I know better here. You can't make decisions based on fear. I've been beaten, but hey, I'm still here. Her beauty's worth the risk of deciding what to do. Stomach's in a knot. I don't know how I feel, so I can't talk. Ask my girl, she'll say, I don't know when to stop. Never put in my life, it's true. I'm just deciding what to do. I'm just deciding what to do. I was proud when I was me. You should have seen it. I was proud when I was me. You should have seen it.
And welcome back, everybody. You've just listened to Big Shot American Gothic, The Verdict, and Stimulated by Irontom. We are here interviewing Harrison from the band themselves. We're going to head right back to that interview now.
Thank you so much, Julie.
Molly and Max, your show again.
Perfect. So before we went to music, we were talking a little bit about touring. So if you could tour with any band, living or dead, who would you tour with? What was your dream lineup?
Wow. Yeah. Well, okay, I'll say living. I would say it would be great to tour with the Arctic Monkeys or Queens of the Stone Age, or the Red Hot Chili Peppers, who we have done a tour with before, and would love to again. You know, that was amazing. And also, I think it would be awesome to play with Lana Del Rey too.
Yeah.
That would be crazy. And then also, I guess now fantasy, I would say Led Zeppelin. It would be nuts. It's crazy to say this, but playing with James Brown would be cool. I mean, it's probably like, you know, I mean, that's nuts to say, but you know, playing with James Brown would be cool. And then I would say, obviously the Beatles, you know. I mean, I don't know, like playing with the Beatles though probably is not that fun because, you know, everybody's there for the Beatles. And then living too, I think, obviously Billie Eilish is amazing, and yeah, there's a lot, you know.
Yeah.
It definitely is.
Those are some good options, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or I think I have one more living. Just trying to put that energy out there because you never know. You know what I mean? Maybe I don't know. If I come back to it, I'll type in.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. If you had to give one, what would your message be to younger musicians?
I'd say just, I mean, play, if you love music, play it, like do it, and really, like, just work on your relationship with it and make it a wonderland for yourself. I mean, if you're trying to be in the music business, that's a different thing, like, I mean, that it's similar in ways, but the music business is like you're trying to make music to market and sell, and I don't know, it's more competitive, you know what I mean? If you're just making music for yourself, you're doing it, it's I feel like it's a more innocent thing in a lot of ways. But if you're trying to, I always think about this, I think like, man, if someone asked me what should I do, I want to start a band, like, I guess I would just say practice and write all the time. Like, when you think you've practiced enough, practice 10 times more of that, and if you think you've written enough, think of the guy or the girl in in Phoenix or in Florida or in Sweden who's writing 100 times more than you are, and think of how you have to, like, keep redefining what doing it is and refining a skill is, because you have to keep, like, getting good at something. I find you have to keep asking yourself questions about what that means and to you, and yeah, I just say put the time in. But if you just like playing music, sometimes just keep it like a safe and happy place for yourself.
Yeah.
That's such good advice. Very nice. So we've kind of talked a bit about bands you'd like to tour with, but in terms of Irontom's sound or your individual sound, who would you say your biggest influence is musically?
I would say the band is probably Beatles, Zeppelin, and like probably Radiohead, something like that. But we have a lot of influences. Like I love Ray Charles. Zach listens. Zach's got us all into like a lot of hip hop, like a lot of '90s hip hop, like the Wu-Tang Clan, and there's a singer-songwriter, John Getty, who I've been really into lately, and he's I know him and he's mentored me and things like that. And then we also like, we like a lot of different things, but I think the band's like boiled down to probably the Beatles, Zeppelin, and Arctic Monkeys, or Radiohead, one of those, I mean,
Sure.
every one of us would probably say something different, which is cool,
Yeah, for sure.
This is a fun question that I like asking people, but it's a tough one. Who is, off the top of your head, I guess, who is the most interesting person you've met?
Wow. I'd say probably Zach in my band.
Oh.
Zach Irons, yeah. I mean, we've been writing songs together for a long time and hanging out a long time, and he's just next time I'll get him in on the interview if we do another one at some point. But he's very interesting. Another interesting person, I would probably say the guy I mentioned, John Getty. He's a very well-educated musical kind of mastermind. And then also another one is, I would say, this is funny, but Zach's grandma, her name's Victoria Buxa, and she's just she's Greek, and she's got so much wisdom, and like, how when you speak to people who have lived for a long time, it's I don't know, they just have some kind of like the experience they've been through has like kind of steeped them in some kind of magic and wisdom. You know, I have two more. One
Sure.
is a guy named Glenn Palmer who I used to work for. I used to be his assistant. He was a tailor, like a clothing maker. He makes suits, and he worked for Tom Petty, and he lived with Tom Petty and made all Tom Petty's clothing. And he is this guy. He's in in his 60s now, and he's a English guy, and he's done clothing for so many amazing musicians over the years. You know, like Bob Dylan. You know, he lived with Tom Petty. Done him for like Bruce Springsteen, Clarence from the E Street Band. You know, Linda Ramone. So many. Like, there's so many, and he's been to like so many rock and roll shows over the years. Like, he grew up in England, and basically he's seen the Beatles 5 times, which, I mean, I've never met somebody who's seen the Beatles 5 times, you know, like, that's crazy. He's seen Chuck Berry and Little Richard and all these things. Like, so when I worked for him, it was like driving around a rock and roll, like, wizard kind of. But also, he introduced me to Tom Petty, so I got to spend time with Tom Petty as well, who was a rock and roll wizard as well. He was like, you know, I mean, I could talk for a long time about that, but all in all, I think I'd named everybody I know, basically.
I had a hunch you have a great answer.
You forgot us
Oh,
as
yeah.
the coolest
Well,
people.
we're getting to know each other, you know?
Max, I just lost my questions. Do you want to ask another one?
Oh no, you lost your questions. Sure. Sorry, mine are all in a weird order because we're going back and forth. This is probably one I should have asked from the beginning, but that's all right. Have you always been from California, or did you move there at a certain point?
Pretty much, yeah. I grew up in California. My mom's from England.
Oh,
And
wow.
so, like, I was born in California, but I went to England as a baby and was there like for part of like the first year I was alive, and then came back, and I visited England a lot because of family and things. But I'm basically, you know, English American, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sabina is in California as well. You guys are both
Yeah.
in the opposite time zone.
All right.
Born and raised.
Yeah.
So I actually had a question for you. What's the most interesting either instrument or sound that's ever been part of a song?
Part of one of our songs. I mean, Zach gets up to some crazy stuff with his guitar effects. Like, you know, I mean, one day he's got to like do some kind of rig rundown, or like Crave Your Sex is a song of ours, and the way the sound, the like really heavy sound is created is really creative. It's like a note that's played and looped and then slowed down through a guitar pedal, and then he triggers it with his foot, so he doesn't have to play the guitar. So he like hits his foot, and he can do it with no hands, and it's triggering this thing he played into the pedal, you know. And then Dan's got a bunch of crazy stuff too that he does on the keys. Yeah, I'd say there's a lot of that sort of stuff going on. But I don't know. We need to get like a seagull or something on a song so we can, for questions like this.
We answers in the past have included a train whistle, which was a creative one.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I had sampled a friend of mine in a song, but it didn't end up making it in. That would have been cool, but you know, I'm gonna take this as a challenge and like put something really weird in a song.
Please do.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
So we've been talking a bit about touring. I'll go back to that again. You guys, when you see you live, we are an audio-based show, but when you see Irontom live, you guys have a very unique stage presence. Could you kind of describe it a bit?
Where did you see us?
Boston, about a year ago.
It was the Dreamer show?
Yep.
Awesome. Yeah, we love rock and roll, and like it evokes just a reaction in us. And like I probably said this to somebody else one point, but there's this Marlon Brando quote I love about performing, and he says you got to get people to stop chewing, and that's kind of like, I take that as like people are just kind of like they're kind of being fed a lot at all time, and their senses are being stimulated. But if you do something really emotive or wild or something, it'll get people to like stop and really like take notice and focus. So I think we just feel a lot when we're doing it, and we try and let people know what we're feeling and include them. It's like, if you're having fun, other people will have fun. It's almost, that's just kind of how it works in a lot of ways.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Max, I believe you had some questions on the effects of COVID.
Oh yeah, I mean, we kind of covered this, but I was gonna ask, what's it like being a creative during COVID for you?
Like I said, just I am taking it as a opportunity to grow, and really trying to just be like, all right, this is the scenario, let's adapt. I mean, everybody's got to adapt all the time, but I'm just we've been able to be healthy and safe, and it's upsetting what other people in the world are going through and how intense it's been. But all in all, I've just tried to use it as a time just to adapt. And it's basically a lesson of like, all right, just, anything could happen. So you have to be ready to go with it,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I've got a fun throwaway question that I like asking people. Who is your favorite Simpsons character?
I like Apu, or I mean, Homer's obviously amazing. There's just
Right on.
many Homer moments. But I also like, I mean, Apu's pretty great. Barney's great, I like Barney.
So, as we're kind of heading towards the end here, is there anything that you want our audience to know about Irontom?
That we're cranking, and we're not going to stop, and that all they, I want them to know that if they're listening to us and sharing us with their friends, we thank them, and we're giving them love right back, because we've seen a lot of growth in people coming and following the band, and being part of our thing in the last year or two, and we basically when we started touring, we were basically mainly making fans from touring, but it's shifted more, especially now that we can't tour. We're making a lot of fans without it, and that's been great. And so I just want everybody to know that, like, we appreciate them, and that we're going to do some very weird and cool things. So keep checking it out,
And where can our listeners find your music?
Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, all of the tubes,
And do you have any social media you want to plug?
Instagram, Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on Twitter. Follow us on Spotify. You know, check out Big Shots on the Rock This playlist on Spotify. And, you know, we've been so grateful to have Spotify get behind the band recently. And our friend over there, Allie Hagendorf, she's amazing, and she's really been a champion for the band. So a lot of thanks to them. But it's everywhere, you know.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's going to be the end of our interview with Harry Hayes from Irontom. Harry, you want to go ahead and close us out?
Thank you for listening. This is Harry Hayes from Irontom, and you are listening to 91.5 WUML Lowell. Rock on.